Spirit Realm Radio here. Hello everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the idea of what is magic. I like to think that that magic is the idea that kind of the world changes subtly with our wills and attitudes and thoughts, mostly in kind of subtle probability changes. It can change the laws of physics or make something literally impossible happen, but the type of thing where if you need to get somewhere in a hurry, maybe you cast a spell for it and all the lights turn up green. Or maybe you need money and you do a spell for wealth and you get a job offer the next day. Or find $20 on the ground. It's not like you're suddenly, creating fire from your bare hands, but the world kind of subtly changes to accommodate your kind of will. This also solves the question of why do people in kind of really dire situations, why can't they just use magic to get themselves out of it? And it's like, well, no matter how powerful of a magic user you are, you might be able to change some of the probabilities around you, but you can't use it to just magic yourself out of bad circumstances. Maybe if there's a lot of jobs, then a spell for wealth will get you one of those jobs. But if there are literally no jobs, then, well, you're not gonna be able to find a job anyway. This is also tied into a couple ideas of that we have pretty much complete control over our own bodies. This includes through things like meditation or a lot of meditation is a good way to do that, and it's pretty easy to find stories of people, like there was one famous guy called the Iceman who could survive being submerged in an ice bath, and he wouldn't die of hypothermia. There's even tales of people purposely slowing down their heartbeat using meditation, which is something I've actually learned how to do after a few years. I can't quite stop it, but slowing it down is very, very easy to do. Same thing with on a cold day, you can kind of make yourself feel warmer because you have control over your own body. And then those are both tied into the idea of the spirit world, which is kind of when you think of energy and auras and ghosts and spirits, that's where all that stuff resides. And I think that as someone kind of goes along their spiritual path, they kind of increase their access to the spiritual world. And this is something we see across religions. You see it very directly in things like paganism and Wicca, where you're kind of trying to talk to spirits in some cases, or you're celebrating the dead, or you're kind of communing with the spirit world. But you even see it in Christianity with things like prayer, where you are attempting to communicate with God. Whether there is only one God or many gods is not something for me to say. You guys can discuss that in the comments. And the other thing I want to bring up is that all this stuff is still unexplained by science. I know a lot of people that when they talk about kind of magical stuff, they really like try and explain it using scientific terms like quantum mechanics. I'm a third-year engineering student, and I'm not going to pretend like I can teach people about quantum mechanics, but I know enough to say that it has nothing to do with the spirit. Quantum mechanics is what you get when you look at really, really, really small stuff, our current understanding of physics breaks down. But there is one kind of hopeful message that quantum mechanics shows us, and that is we still don't fully understand the world. We still don't fully understand quantum mechanics. We still don't fully understand physics. Just kind of, there's a lot of things in this world that we don't fully understand. And scientific rigor is actually pretty serious. It's extremely hard to prove something to scientific standards. And something not being scientifically proven doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means that we have no solid proof for it. going back to the finding $20 on the ground thing, me saying I found $20 on the ground is not proof that I found $20 on the ground. And it's because kind of a lot of magic messes with probability or is based on human experience and perception. We can't prove it to science because we can always explain it away using coincidences, which brings up the idea that there's no such thing as a coincidence, which I can talk about another time. And also we have no solid way to kind of convey our experiences to other people. And magic tends to be awfully finicky. I have had times where I talk to a spirit and maybe other people in the room also talk to the spirit and we all hear the same thing, but I've never been able to do that kind of on command or something I could do in front of a large audience. In fact, I find that with a lot of magical stuff like that, as soon as I try to do it to kind of show something off, it fails me. So I end up with a lot of anecdotal evidence, and I end up with a lot of journals recording results and experiments, but nothing that I could hand to a scientific committee and say, hey, here is proof of the supernatural. Because there's other ways to explain it. And the other thing I wanted to touch on before I close out here is that magic is something we all do. You know, you might not think about it, but it is something we all do, and that your attitudes and your thoughts and your wills do affect the world around you. I'm sure we've all noticed crazy coincidences that are statistically impossible, or rather extremely unlikely, or kind of crazy things that happen that we can't explain. And this is something that everyone experiences. I don't think there's a person alive that hasn't had an experience like that. And we work magic whether we think about it or whether we want to or not. It's just kind of how the world works. And we might not have an explanation, but it's there. And kind of learning to use magic is advantageous because you learn to kind of control that. And learning to control your thoughts, your attitude, and kind of your will helps you control your influence on the world around you, as well as control your quality of life. I'm just going to look from a totally skeptic's point of view and just say for a second, and this is not my personal belief, but even if we say that magic doesn't exist and that everything I've been saying is just bull, then it's still worthwhile to learn magic because it gives you these tools to control your outlook on the world and how you think about things, and to get you in control of your own emotions and your own body. And I think that is honestly more than enough, than pretty much what anyone needs to be able to be happy and start working towards self-actualization. That is the type of stuff that really helps you work through trauma, is being able to look at your thoughts and look at your attitudes and change them. And the fact that you're also learning kind of a tool to subtly change the world around you to kind of help you get what you want and help your influence, kind of help what's the word I'm looking for? Focus your influence on the world is just a huge added bonus. Anyway, I think I've covered all the points I want to. Thank you for listening, and I'm hoping I'll have another video up soon. Have a great night. Bye.